What's going on, Philadelphia? I am still respecting the lovely folks upstairs as we're recording here today of the summertime. It's in the Pyramid Club. I'm John Barchard. That, of course, is Vince Quinn. We've got Ty. We've got Taylor. And, man, let's just get into it because I acknowledge that I am not a good typer. My grammar is usually poor.
Yeah.
And, thread started, and I was leaving a little joke thing here of just saying the Eagles fan base is not going to be able to handle this not next leap of Jalen Hurts heading into this season and then suddenly declare him not a top 5 quarterback as they've been doing this entire offseason as in defense of Jalen Hurts, not like he's a piece of crap quarterback or whatever it is. Like, the fan base is not going to be able to handle him leaping, having this big, humongous leap, taking this team to the Super Bowl, putting up basically the same year this year is what I think is going to happen, and everyone will think he did worse. That's essentially what I'm trying to say.
Okay, because that's what I was trying to figure out. Because you have this thread, and it was confusing. Because you're like, everybody's overrating this guy.
They
but
are.
I'm not criticizing.
And that is true.
The
The Eagles fan base is
not
overrating Jalen Hurts
No.
to think that this top 5 thing is going to keep continuing every single year, and especially next year. Like,
I saw that message. I was like, oh, God, John fucked up.
I don't care. I don't. And if this means that you think I'm wrong, great, fantastic. Yell at us. BellTheBirdmen.com, get in the Discord, whatever it is. Jalen Hurts is not going to take this enormous leap or whatever we thought this past season was again this year. He's not going to do that.
Well, no. I mean, unless he's going to suddenly come into camp 6'4", no. Of course he's not going to take that leap. It's not possible is what I'm saying. Like, he improved so much from 2021 to 2022 that this doesn't happen. This is like that, and it is funny because it is that Josh Allen kind of leap where it was like nobody thought he would get this much better, but he got that much better, and he did it overnight, basically. Did it in one offseason. So, like, you can't expect him to do that again in terms of making the leap. Can I expect him to be that good again? Damn right. Damn right I expect him to be that good again.
You should. And I just don't like the conversations we get into when the same thing that I believe is going to happen to Jalen Hurts is happening to Lamar Jackson right now. They look at him and they go, what's he won? And you're going like, oh my God, are we going back to team stats? Are we seriously doing that? When a guy like Mark Andrews has been his only consistent thrower, and now suddenly Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson. What? Like, That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, you can say he played like a top 5 quarterback last year because he did. And I'm not saying because of his weapons is the only reason why, because that's a bullshit argument. I'm just saying Lamar has never had the same opportunity that Jalen has already early in his career. Jalen is going to continue to keep growing because he's only 24, but it's the pocket awareness stuff, the whatever, becoming more accurate. If you're coming off of a Super Bowl and you're trying to think, how can I get better? I doubt that that's what's really happening this offseason. It's how do we get this team back to the Super Bowl? Like what could Jalen Hurts work on this offseason that would be such a spring forward that I'm missing here?
Well,
that's all.
In terms of his actual physical game, there's really nothing to work on. I mean, the guy's incredibly precise and he's accurate. He makes great decisions. All that stuff matters, and he's an amazing runner. So, like, physically, I don't think he has anything to change. But from the other side, and this is the thing that we talked about a little while ago, it's all mental. It's command of the offense. It's audibles, hot reads, all the kind of stuff that we've yelled about before. It's, does he get all those things? How much does he get those things? How much can he make situations that might be an average play because they don't really have a lot of negative plays? How can he turn those average plays into great plays? And he already did that already last year, too. Like, that's the crazy thing, right? Is in the moments where he got it, he was just like, hey, Devonta, you're going to do this, and AJ, you're going to do that, and, like, it's just going to be a touchdown. Just go. and he would throw a touchdown. So I just, that is the stuff. But, like, from this idea of expectation, because I will give you this. Like, everybody's going to be looking at him now as everybody's saying, hey, MVP, MVP, MVP. So now they're going to expect him to play like an MVP every single game. Is he going to do that every single game? Probably not. He didn't really do that every single game this year, but over the course of the season, he's an MVP. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like, what are the expectations for Jalen Hurts, and are they fair? I think they're fair.
I mean, Ty, maybe I got this wrong. You can disagree here, but, like, is the majority of the fan base, because this is where I'm thinking, is expecting him to do that? Unless maybe I'm in the minority here because it's just like, I just expect him to do the same thing. Yes, but the same thing is not going to be good enough for you at the end of next year.
Here's the thing, though. I kind of disagree with you on it because I just looked up some stats. Jalen Hurts actually ranked 12th overall out of all the qualifying quarterbacks in terms of completion percentage. So that you're talking about top 3% of the best quarterbacks. He's in the top third percentage of the best within the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, John, I don't know how much better you want him to get. I really don't. You're talking about a guy who basically went from a running quarterback to an actual threat. How many quarterbacks do you know in their third year takes their team to the Super Bowl? It doesn't happen that often.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, are we saying now that Jalen Hurts is solely responsible for taking this team to the Super Bowl last year?
It's a big factor, huge.
I don't disagree with that, but is he the only factor?
Well, no, he can't be the only factor.
No, you're
That's
talking
what I'm
about
saying.
you're talking about a team sport. There's no way in
I
hell
know.
you can justify somebody being the only factor. But he was a major cock. I mean, let's be honest here. Those 2 games Jalen Hurts was out, the Eagles lost. Honestly, the Eagles probably should have finished this season with 1 loss on the record.
Oh, definitely. Like Gardner Minshew was nowhere close to being a backup quarterback last year. That Dallas game. Jesus Christ.
Well, he was brutal in that game. He was awful in that game. There's no doubt.
But I'm not saying that any quarterback can come in here and replace him either or none of that, because that's where everyone takes this statement. But like, there's a lot that he can do to improve. In fact, like if you're saying he's in the group of 12 most accurate quarterbacks from last year, great. You got to be like number 5, number 6 every single year from now on. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if what we saw last year is Jalen Hurts' ceiling, continuing raising his floor, whatever it is. I don't know. Are you saying that this is his ceiling then, Ty?
It could, even if it is his ceiling, if we go to a Super Bowl, I have no problem with his ceiling.
There's no way the Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl this year.
Here's the thing, though, John.
There's no way they're going back to the Super Bowl this year because it doesn't happen. The statistics. It just doesn't happen, guys. Like, unless this is a dynasty, and unless the thing that I'm saying where Jalen Hurts does improve, then he's the number 1 quarterback in the league, and so is this fucking team, and no one's going to beat them for 10 years.
You talked
because
about
that's the difference in what I think we're all talking about here, right?
See, you talked about Jalen Hurts needing to up his completion percentage to those top 5, 6 guys. Let me run through the list real quick. Number 1, Geno Smith didn't go to the Super Bowl. Number 2, Matthew Stafford. Number 3, Joe Burrow. 4, Patrick Mahomes went to the Super Bowl and won. Number 4, though. Number 5, Justin Herbert. 6, Jimmy Garoppolo. So does he really need to be in the top 6%?
No, you need to be in the top 6% of downfield throws hitting touchdowns. I think overall accuracy is completely overrated, to be honest with you. But like, that's what I mean. I don't. Where is Jalen Hurts' big leap coming from? Because to me, it is in the pocket and making sure that he doesn't move it anymore. That's it. If he does that, everything I'm saying is probably going to look a lot different this offseason.
Yeah, those are really the only things you have to worry about for him, because otherwise he's got a complete lock on everything. So yeah, like, is he, again, he's not going to have a major leap like that, and the talent is as good as it's ever going to be. So is he able to make the most of it as the team gets worse over time? I don't even know if we'll get to answer that question, which is an odd thing that I never thought I'd say, because look at his contract. He's always going to have great talent around him because his contract is so good. So I don't think he's going to drop off the way other guys do. Like, usually it's, okay, well, you're going to be the guy, you got paid, now you need to carry a really crappy team with maybe 1 or 2 good receivers and a bunch of average guys everywhere else, and you've got to make that a top 5 unit every year. Like, he doesn't have to do that. And for the Eagles going back and his ability to get them back there, the NFC still sucks. And so that window's wide open. I think they have every reason to get back.
Yeah, it's going to be there. I'm just saying, like, man, poof, I don't know. A lot of things still have to work out. Nakobe Dean basically in his rookie year. You've got, well, even just with, think about how I felt about Jordan Davis coming into this year and how he actually impacted the team. Now, it's different when you're going to have your literal teammates next to you for the first time in a year, and maybe that makes a difference. But those 2 guys, including Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, still have to grow up in the NFL a little bit here too. I'm not expecting them to be like suddenly just as impactful, and that's what changes this season into getting into the Super Bowl. That's all. Like, you can't just go, this is going to be awesome, and I expect them to be right back there simply because. I was like, that sounds very like we're in this honeymoon phase, right? We're comparing Jalen Hurts and this team to a bunch of different other stuff where you said Tom Brady a lot. all these
Brady.
other different Hall of Famers with, stat tracking on the same thing. And of course that's going to happen. It's going to happen all the time. It happened with Dak Prescott. We are saying the same exact things, by the way. When we were shaking in our boots and we're like, oh, crap, Dallas and Dak Prescott is working out. Oh, look at his comparisons to Roethlisberger and to Tom Brady, and look at the track that he's on. I'm going, yeah, well, now what's the track now? What's the track now for Dak Prescott? What's the track now for Josh Allen and his Madden curse there, Ty? Like, all I'm saying again is these expectations, because I know you got one too about Devontae, or maybe we don't, but
Yeah, we do.
I don't think we're going to handle the swings of Jalen Hurts that well. And I think it starts this offseason, and this is what happens when you get paid. That's all I'm banking on. Not the person Jalen Hurts, not this fucking Eagles team that is solid beyond what I could possibly dream of. It's just literally the psychological part of this game and what ends up happening. We've seen it too many times. Or we really think we're that lucky enough to go to back-to-back Super Bowls in this town? Sorry, I can't be convinced of that
Totally
yet.
see it. I hate to say it. I hate to say it because it sounds negative, but the Bills did make it to 4 Super Bowls, and they lost all of them. But they made it to 4, okay? They made it to 4. So I think it's that kind of caliber team.
It doesn't feel that way. I mean, the AFC was as weak as the NFC is right now for the Bills, so.
I don't want to say the Eagles are the Bills, though. It hurts. I'm not doing that.
Don't say that, Vince.
The Bills are the Bills, all right?
I think everybody would be thrilled if they made it to 4 Super Bowls, but to hear that they also lost all 4 would just be so devastating that I think enough people would be like, actually, I don't want any of this.
Oh, you know what? Real quickly, not devastating. I'll make sure that you know that we're going to Los Angeles the weekend of October 6th because SoFi Stadium, speaking of Matt Stafford, see the Rams are tried to trade him last offseason. That kind of come on a blip on the radar. So that's just funny to me. If you want to see Matt Stafford's old bones roll on out of there for an easy win with literally no Rams fans be served breakfast, lunch, and ice cream all weekend, click on the description below. It's all down there. We're heading to LA, everybody. Tell me, though, about I can't come up with a good answer. You had a great question. You and Ty, I think, had a great question coming in here.
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's a couple of things because it starts with the whole fact that I don't know if you saw the Richard Sherman story, but it's phenomenal. The whole Richard Sherman story is so good. He's basically like, the moment that I realized I was retiring was I had to cover Devonta Smith, and he ran this comeback route, and he ran it so well, and I was trying to keep up with him, and my body was just popping, my hamstrings were falling off my body basically, and I just realized I don't have it anymore. I can't keep up with kids like this. Which is to say that Devonta Smith got one of the best corners of this generation, a legitimate Hall of Famer.
Come on. You had to say that right there? I mean,
yes.
His legs are snapping on a Thursday night game where the Bucs are kicking the shit out of the Eagles.
John, he
had to say the guy that was retiring that was legendary, that didn't have any good games outside of Seattle. Come on, man.
John, you have to be crazy to not say that Richard Sherman is a future Hall of Famer.
Not
one of the best corners to ever play in the NFL.
So what are you trying to say? Devonta Smith made him retire?
He said Devonta Smith made him retire.
Made him retire. He said it was a simple comeback route. He had it covered. He covered the play.
He wasn't. No, he did a good job in coverage. He didn't do a terrible job in coverage either. But when you look at when a guy like that of that caliber is just man, I can't keep up with these top guys. That's Devonta Smith as a rookie. And that's the thing for me is he came out of the box a Heisman winning wide receiver. This guy is unbelievably good. He lives up to it as a pro. The Eagles rookie record for receiving yards. Then he goes over 1,000 this year. Guy looks amazing. I scream about him all the time. But the fascinating thing is you see all of that and then you go, okay, well, that was his rookie year with Sherman and he was great last year. And people talk so much about that year 3 leap for a wide receiver. What is a wide receiver leap for Devonta Smith at this point in year 3? And also, here's the other question. Does it even exist? Do we believe in the year 3 leap the way that we used to? Because for me, I think it's totally changed, and I don't think that year 3 leap is the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to act like Ty on this. I really don't know what much more Devonta Smith could do to leap. But if he does, then to me, now you're talking about it's going to be really hard to tell who's better, A.J. Brown or him, if that's the leap we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And trying to figure it out, it's tough because, for a guy his size, he's not overwhelmingly big or anything. He's pretty average. He goes up and gets it. So for that, with the precision of the route running, they started to use him more in the middle of the field, which is the thing that I was screaming about for forever. So they did all of that. Like, yeah, I don't know how much better he gets. And I don't know if it's that right now.
Odell Beckham Jr. is how much better he gets. That's like, I think, where his ceiling is.
Well, see, let me ask you this then. Do you think he's not getting that kind of production because he's not good enough at this moment to be that guy, or because there's so many other good things around him that he doesn't get the level of targets that make him that guy?
This is not to discourage Dallas Goedert getting more into this offense with the only 12 games or whatever, but whoa, do you really need it? I mean, like, someone's targets are going to have to go away here. Yes, you can start to take away your Zach Pascal a little bit, and you can give that to Devontae. Yeah, maybe you're not checking down to Kenny Gainwell as much. I don't even think. Oh, Miles Sanders had like 26 receptions this year, so I don't know. But I don't know. Like, I think you would have to almost get Dallas off the field to have the statistical kind of huge leap. I don't know. Like, I never thought I'd say this about everybody, but that's the trios: Jalen, him, and AJ, and I think everybody else is complimentary.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, if you want to get him into those kinds of numbers, because like early OBJ, I mean, people kind of forget about it now because it's been so long and he's been on so many teams and so many injuries. But that guy was one of the most amazing receivers you've ever seen in your life. And for Devontae, it's like, yeah, I mean, he is you could say the third option because it's like Jalen with the read option and his ability to do stuff. You have A.J. Brown, you have Devonta Smith. So for him to put up the numbers that he has as the third option in the offense is like amazing. I mean, it's amazing. So I don't know, could he put up 1,500, 1,600 yards if he was the main guy, or if they just ran less? I think so.
I think that's coming for sure, right? Like, there's no way that they're running more. The Miles Sanders of this year would be at like 700 yards, in my opinion. I think they're really going to spread out the backfield, not only because they're all dinged up 1 year, 2 year guys, but yeah, I think that's where they're heading too. There's no reason to run the football. Sorry, Barney. Like, they're like, if you're, and the statistics honestly show that. I've been looking at, because it's July and Warren Sharp has a big a bunch of stats that he always goes through every single offseason. The Eagles are the lowest in run rate on first and second downs, and the highest in pass rate on early down situations. So I'm going, that's not going to change either, because once again, you know who the second running back is on this team? Jalen Hurts at 159 carries. That's like, I keep forgetting about how insane that is. So it is all air, and even if Dallas gets more incorporated, I still somehow think Devontae scores more touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
Those are your two guys. And I wonder, is there any other factor that we're kind of missing for him? Is he going to be used in the red zone more? I don't think so. I just think they're going to throw a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, and I think he's effective in the red zone when they go to him anyway. I mean, the guy's great. He's got plenty of touchdowns. So
that Week 3 Washington game, man, it's like burned into my brain.
I know.
Awesome.
We were in the end zone, by the end zone for those leaping grabs. Like, that was so crazy. But yeah, and that's the whole thing, right? Because that's why in part I go and I think about, okay, that year 3 leap that used to be like the fabled thing. I remember, like, I don't know, Freddie Mitchell, like, oh my God, year 3, Freddie Mitchell's going to be the guy. I'm also like 12 at this point, so I don't know any better. But I'm like, you're rooting for it, and that was almost like seen as a fact of life of like, if you don't get it as year 3 as a wide receiver, then you're not going to be that guy. But that's going to be the year that typically you become the guy. But also, if you're elite early, I mean, what is a year 3 leap? And like so many guys with all these offenses and the way they change, completion percentage, how much easier it is spreading the field to get the guys the ball. Like, you just get more action these days. Like, I think as a receiver to acclimate, it's so much easier than it used to be, and you can get production. I think you can get production right away.
Well, nowadays, I mean, guys come in and they're expected to be the guys, especially if you get drafted in the first round. So the whole thing about, having a year 3 leap, I think we need to just get that out the window now, because like I said, guys, quarterbacks, receivers, like it doesn't matter your position. You come into the NFL, they expect you to be NFL ready, period. So this whole thing about a year 2 leap, a year 3 leap, I don't think it's existing anymore. And I don't think it can exist anymore.
I actually think that was more of like a GM coaching thing and evaluating talent, and not necessarily like a rule for when it's going to happen, because that seems like old school football of like, all right, well, if he doesn't have it by year 3, then we'll kick him out. Like, you gotta make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and if you can't do that, then we gotta find others.
Yeah, then
But
you're
now-
Dorial Green Beckham. But
By the way, Howie still lost that trade. So like that's
Yeah.
and the position got easier too. So like,
Well, yeah.
that's why. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, on some level, I had a moment where I'm like, oh, man, Devonta Smith, year 3, is going to take the leap. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I really don't know.
Matching yards with A.J. Brown, matching touchdowns with A.J. Brown. Because they're never going to be the same wide receiver. They're two completely different animals. So,
Yeah.
like, it's, I think if they end up with like 9 and 10, 11, 12 apiece, man, that's when we're like talking about special. And all the stuff I said before about Jalen is also like out the window at that point. We're right back to like, this might be a dynasty. No one's going to be screwing with him in the NFC East. And hopefully we're not the Vince Quinn Philadelphia Bills.
John, I got PTSD from the word dynasty. Don't use dynasty ever again.
Oh, is that right? Because of the...
Yeah.
Is that still from the 2011-12 stuff? For a term I will never use anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. All
Well, I said it a lot after 2017. I said it a lot.
The golden age of sports. Boo! Bam! And here we are again in 2023 trying to figure it all out. So, again, LA happening in October, and the hotel rooms and flights are starting to go away. So I want to make sure that you all know that. If you're self-traveling, that will be available in August, along with like all the tailgate packages and fun stuff like that. Just make sure to keep supporting us, bellandthebirdmen.com. We will be in the Discord, as always, if you want to yell. And yes, we have now officially joined Threads, if you're on there too, with Zuckerberg's clearly stolen property, which we will enjoy the ride all the way over there.
You talk about that on Content Club.
And if you're interested in the other stuff we do, go find Content Club at SBX Philly on YouTube and, all the social platforms as well. Vince, Ty, anything else before we get out of here?
No, that's all I got. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Watch your mouth on the new social media because it got you in trouble. Watch your wording, man.
Go Birds. We'll see you guys.